Thank you so much for joining us, Victoria. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
Victoria, what are the biggest lessons you learned in your one debut? What did you discover about yourself?
I think that after my one debut, I've learned so much. I've not only made improvements to my game, but I've been a lot more familiar with the whole process going into this next fight.
Was it all that you thought it was going to be, or was it easier, harder than you expected?
It was everything I expected it to be and more. It was an amazing experience and I enjoyed it so much. It was so much fun.
Tell us a bit about the adjustments that you made in training after your first fight and one championship.
I've made improvements to my whole game, my MMA game as a whole, the transitions, the striking, the grappling, the wrestling, everything. And so you're going to see an improved version of myself this upcoming fight.
Your opponent is Wang Luping from China. What do you think about her as a fighter? Have you scouted her and studied her a little bit?
Honestly, I don't know too much about my opponent. I know that she's coming off of a 3-fight winning streak and she's seems to be an aggressive striker, I guess. But none of that matters to me. I just focus on my training, my game plan, and all that matters is what happens in the cage Friday night.
In what areas do you think that you are a better fighter than her?
I think that the way that we train with my dad, he trains us in martial arts, MMA game as a whole. So I think that the way that I transition between the different ranges, striking, wrestling, and grappling, I think that I put my whole game. I'm stronger everywhere.
We have a question here from Tom Taylor of Bleacher Report. And the question is this. I know you don't like to call out anyone, but is there anyone in the atomweight division that you think would be a good matchup for you?
Right now, I'm just 100% focused on my opponent, who I'm going to face in 2 days from now. Aside from that, I'm ready to fight anybody. I'm ready to challenge myself to higher level competitions, and I'm not going to call out any names.
This next question will go to Drake Riggs of My MMA News. Drake, please go ahead.
Hey, Victoria, good to see you. Just curious, going into this next fight with one, feeling less pressure having gotten the debut out of the way.
Definitely feeling a lot less pressure going into this camp. The amount of pressure I felt for my debut was so much. It was an immense amount of pressure, but going into this next fight, I'm a lot more familiar with the whole process and there is less pressure, so I feel a lot more comfortable.
Great to hear. And are you hoping to fight again before the end of the year?
Definitely. I would love to stay as active as possible.
Victoria, both your elder brother and sister are now parents. Do you still train together often?
Yes. My brother and sister and their children, Ava and Marie, come into the gym almost every day to help train with me. And it's awesome to see them and the babies around.
What advice have they given you?
They've given me so much useful advice, and most importantly, the things that they share with me is their personal experiences competing and traveling, and they help me to deal with the nerves, telling me to just breathe and enjoy the whole process of the fight week, the media, the interviews, and that's exactly what I'm doing.
Our next question will go to Gabriel Gonzalez of Cage Side Press.
Actually, I asked both Christian and Angela this is about their kids, and do we think that we'll see them eventually 20 years from now also competing in one championship? You're obviously part of the family business. Do you think we'll eventually see their kids fighting for one?
No ways. No ways. Those two baby girls are so adorable and so talented. I think that they have so many options available for them. They can be anything that they choose to be. No way will we force them down this path. And both my brother and sister are so protective. I don't think they would allow them to fight.
Our next question will go to Dylan Bowker of My MMA News.
I'm just curious because, no shortage of great martial artists in the Lee family. Who's going to be in your corner for this sophomore effort in one championship?
For this bout, my dad's going to be in my corner.
Well, that's good going with a sole corner there. And this next one, bit of a curiosity question because with combatsportslaw.com, they were looking into Colorado facilitating one championship's rule set with the knees to a grounded opponent. Hypothetically, would competing in America under the one championship banner have any level of interest for you?
Definitely. I would love to compete in a one show in America, hopefully in Hawaii someday. But for now, I'm enjoying the experience of being able to travel overseas and compete in Singapore, my second home.
Thank you, Dylan. Our next question will go to Mancuso of Tops Off Sports.
Hi, Victoria. Thanks so much for your time. I had the pleasure of interviewing your brother alongside Jake Shields on his podcast about a month and a bit ago, just shortly after the baby was born. And he spoke about from the day you guys were born, you were born into martial arts. So I want to know, at what age did you know that this is what you were going to be doing for a living?
Well, we grew up training martial arts for self-defense, but as I got older and started competing in more tournaments, specifically the world championships for juniors, that's when I decided that this is something that I wanted to do. So I would say around like 13, 14, after we won our world championships in Rome, that's when I decided that this was something that I wanted to do for my career.
This next question is from Tom Taylor of Bleacher Report. What do you think are Wang Luping's biggest strengths and her biggest weaknesses?
Like I said, I haven't been able to find much. I haven't really found any footage of her fighting, but I would say that her biggest strength is her confidence and her aggression going into this match. She in her interview, she said she's gonna knock me out and stuff. So I would say that's her only strength, really. But I have just as much confidence in my skill set, and I plan on showing that on Friday night.
We have our next question here from Jack Gotsel of Tops Off Sports.
Thank you for your time, Victoria. You are the youngest competitor in one championship history, and your older brother, Christian, and your older sister, Angela, were some of the youngest champions in one championship history. Do you have any goals of when you would like to try to get a belt on your shoulder?
I feel so grateful to be able to compete to start my journey at such a young age. But I'm not looking to set any goals to break any records or anything. I'm just trying to fight as often as I can and just enjoy the process one step at a time.
Our next question will go to Ivan Saldageno of Dugout Philippines.
Victoria talks in relation to the question earlier. How's it like fighting in front of a live audience, where on TV and possibly coming soon on live audience at the age of 16?
I think that in my debut match, it was so cool to see 250 fans in the Singapore arena. I could hear them in the background, and I think that was a really cool experience, and I would love to compete in a fully packed arena one day.
Our next question will go to Gabriel Gonzalez of Cage Side Press.
Hello, Victoria. I just had one additional one. Just was wondering, how do you feel you've improved as a fighter since the last time we saw you in the circle, and what fans can expect from you in this one?
Well, since the last time I fought, I've made lots of improvements. We've gone back to the tape, and we've worked on improving every aspect of the game. Just my striking, my wrestling, my grappling, transitions, everything. So going into this next match, you're going to see lots of improvements, and it's going to be an exciting one.
Victoria, tell us a little bit about training with Bruno Pucci as well. He's one of your brothers-in-laws, and how big of a help has he been for you?
Training with Bruno has been awesome. Just like training with the rest of my siblings, they've each helped me in their own way with sharing techniques, advice, even nutrition help, and I appreciate all of them. They've had lots of more experience than me, and it's awesome to just be able to take their advice and their techniques and how they they on their personal experiences. And with Bruno, he's been able to share lots of his techniques as well as his dieting recipes that he's used for his camps, and he's been able to share that with me, which is awesome.
It's coming from Regent Ravindran of Locker Room.
Yeah, it's Ranjit.
Ranjit.
So Victoria, just wanted to ask, you mentioned that you're currently focused on your current match and not interested in calling anyone out. But do you have any dream match when you look at the current atomweight division of one championship?
No, sorry, I don't have any dream matches. My goal is just to, like I said, stay as busy as possible and keep challenging myself on facing higher level competitions.
Victoria, we know that you've been really competitive in your high school with the wrestling. What are your goals? Are you planning on taking a break from that? Or are you going to continue pursuing wrestling while you're in high school?
I won't be going back to competing in high school wrestling. I finally have my dream career, and so I'm 100% focused on just training MMA as a whole, and wrestling has been very helpful to me, gaining experience, and it was extremely fun to compete every weekend. But now I think I'm transitioning onto a next step for me, and this is going to be my 100% focus.
Our next question here is from Jesse Holland of MMA Mania. His question is this. You mentioned you didn't get to find any reels on your opponent. Were there anything specific you worked on, or did you just focus on just improving overall?
I think I've just been improving my overall game. I've sorry. I've just been improving on everything. Looking back on my first fight and just making improvements.
What do you think you could have done better in your debut?
I think that my debut match was great, but I could have improved on sticking to the game plan and finishing it in the first round.
Our next question here is from Dylan Bowker of My MMA News. Dylan, go ahead.
Hey there, Victoria. You were just kind of saying you don't necessarily have like a specific opponent you want to call out, but I'm just curious if there's like a general studying of the atomweight field that you do. And as an extension of that, I'm curious what your thoughts are on the Ritu Fogate versus Lynn Hutchin contest that is also going on this card in the atomweight ranks.
I think that the atomweight division is really stacked right now. We're really excited for the atomweight Grand Prix to start. And as for Ritu's match, Ritu is extremely talented as well as her opponent. So I think it's going to be an exciting match.
This next question is from Fight Game Asia. Do you think this fight goes to the distance? Or are you planning on finishing her in the first round like you mentioned?
I plan on finishing this match first round submission.
We have a question here from Jack Gotsel. Jack, please go ahead.
Victoria, is there a fighter that you look up to that's not either your brother or your sister that you aspire to be like?
I admire my brother and sister. Aside from them, I look up to I admire other fighters from organizations. I would say I like the style of Valentina Shevchenko. I think that she's really crisp kickboxing.
The next one goes to Ivan Saldajeno of Dugout Philippines.
I'm just curious, Victor, since this is an Olympic year, do you also see yourself competing in the Olympics probably in the future for another sport like wrestling?
When I was younger, it was actually a dream of mine to compete in the Olympics because we were trying they were trying to get pancreation into the Olympics, which is like but as I got older, my dream was to compete professionally for more MMA, and so I've kind of moved on from that.